Hi, my name is Mary Shields. I'm a registered nurse and one of three members of the American Legion Auxiliary Girls Nation Wellness Team. Today, we're going to learn about the role of the wellness team, specifically the nurses, and how we work together to keep our senators and staff healthy, safe, and supported during our week in DC. During this module, you will learn what we do before and during our Girls Nation session. And we're going to talk about the ways that the general staff can partner with us to ensure a great week. Our wellness team is comprised of three members, two nurses and one wellness counselor. We're here not only to respond to health concerns, but also to support overall mental well-being throughout the week. Last summer was the first time that we added the role of wellness counselor to our wellness team. This summer, we will be joined once again by Christy Krigbaum, who will be our wellness counselor. It has proved to be a much needed resource for both senators and for staff, and we look forward to having her with us again on our team. You'll hear more from her later in her own education module. This summer, the staff nurses on the wellness team are myself and Kate Weber. We'll be your primary medical contacts throughout the week, and we're here as a resource for both senators and staff. Kate and I both maintain active professional nursing licenses and have over 50 years combined of nursing experience between us, mostly in adult critical care and in the hospital setting. We've worked together as the Girls Nation nurses in previous years, and we make a really good team. The role of the Girls Nation nurses can be divided into three main parts. The first part is what happens before our session even begins. The second part are all the things that we do while we're on site and during our session. And the third part focuses mostly on what we do during our off-campus trips that we take during the week. As nurses, our job begins before the Girls Nation session even starts. We start to receive the senators' medical forms as all the Girls State sessions conclude, and the Girls Nation senators are chosen and begin their registration process and begin sending in all of their forms. Having these medical forms ahead of time helps us to identify any areas of concern, follow up with the senators or their parents or guardians, and work with the Girls Nation leadership to ensure that we have what we need to make these senators feel safe and supported while they're with us. We also have a dedicated email address that is shared with all the senators and their guardians during their registration process, where we can be contacted with any questions or concerns. This kind of preparation helps us to be proactive and ready to meet the individual needs from day one. Once we are on site, our role shifts to more direct care and support, and the real fun begins once all the senators arrive. The nurses play a really important role during the check-in process. We sit down with the senators individually as they're kind of going through the registration process. We verify their medical information that we have and identify any new issues or concerns that maybe they forgot to put on their forms ahead of time. We like to ask them about allergies, whether it's food or environmental. We allow our senators to keep their prescription medications with them and sort of manage those throughout the week. They don't need to come to us, or we don't need to keep them with us unless they specifically need us to. That way they feel a little bit more confident having what they need when they need it, as they normally do. We also allow the senators a moment to sort of sit down, take a deep breath. Many have been traveling all day. They go from leaving their home and family and friends to the car, to the plane, to the bus full of other senators. And by the time they meet with us during the registration process, they're sometimes a bit overwhelmed and a little frazzled. So we give them a moment to sort of breathe, take a breath, relax. And we think this helps relieve some of the initial nerves that they have. And it sort of starts to establish a nice upbeat and positive atmosphere that we try to maintain throughout the week. And this is our first opportunity to really one-on-one connect with the senators and help them feel comfortable coming to us if they need anything throughout the week. After registration is complete, We will set a scheduled time where the nurses will sit down face to face and meet with the SC and JC of each community. This gives us the chance to make them aware of any concerns that we have from a medical standpoint or things we might like them to watch out for after we've met all the senators. For example, if a senator is diabetic or has a history of maybe seizures, these are conditions where the JC or the SC might be the first person with them or to notice a change in condition and would be the first person that might be able to alert us to that. We like to keep the lines of communication open all during the week. We are available to all staff via the Slack app or our cell phones. You can text us, you can call us, or you can just come to our office. Our approach is really one that we try to be proactive and preventative. And we think that an ongoing open communication is really important in maintaining this. Just be mindful when you use the Slack app, if you are going to be sending us a message with any kind of sensitive or private information, you want to make sure you're just sending it to one of the nurses and not accidentally sending it to the whole group. We want to maintain privacy. The nurses try to be as accessible and present as we can throughout the whole week. Our clinic is located just outside the dining hall, which is in the Osgood building, which is where the senators have most of their meetings and activities. So it's really great that we have this centralized location where we can be found. We try to have a fun sign on our door, and sometimes we'll have music playing. We try to create a nice, calm, and welcoming space that anyone can come in if they need something, or even if they just want to sit and visit for a while. Our clinic is stocked with a wide range of basic medical supplies and over-the-counter medications, things like bandages, allergy medications, pain relievers, things like that. We're equipped to handle most minor health concerns right on site. When we're not in our clinic, we try to be as present as possible and as visible as possible. We like to pop in and out of sessions as we can and attend as many activities as we can with the senators throughout the week. We really do try to take a preventative and proactive approach throughout the week, identifying any kind of concerns as we can, as soon as we can, so that we can just ensure a great week for all of the senators and for staff. And obviously, we're here for staff as well. So if you need anything or have any kind of concerns about your own health, you can come to us. Of course, we're here for you as well. Some of the most common issues that we treat while on site during Girls Nation include oftentimes blisters on the feet, especially. Sometimes the senators are wearing shoes for the first time, or even shoes they've worn many times. Once the heat and humidity kind of kick in and we're walking around a lot, blisters form. So we have things to treat that. Headaches, dehydration. It gets pretty hot in the summertime there. And so we try to keep the senators hydrated, but things do happen. A lot of beautiful vegetation and flowers are in bloom on the campus. And so sometimes we have senators from different regions throughout the country and they aren't used to that. And so some seasonal allergies kind of kick up. We do see a lot of motion sickness or kind of nausea during our bus trips. And obviously kind of things that come up that are stress related that maybe manifest in headaches or stomach aches, things like that. Most of the things that we see can be treated very well and quickly and effectively so that the senators can get right back to what they need to be doing during the week. We accompany the senators on all their off-site, off-campus trips. We carry a lot of our basic supplies with us. So if the senators or staff members need something, we always kind of have what's needed with us. Just as we do in our professional roles as nurses, while we are at Girls Nation and on site, we keep a pretty detailed record and maintain good documentation of the senators that we treat, what interventions we provided, and things like that. Keeping track of this really helps us to see any kind of trends that might emerge with certain senators. Helps us better kind of see um, it helps us better to treat the senators who might be coming to us with allergies or things like that, so we can offer them allergy medicine before we take an off-campus trip. Same thing with senators that might have motion sickness. When we do our bus trips, we're able to kind of reach out to them and say, hey, do you need some, anti-nausea medicine before we get on the bus, things like that. We evaluate and treat the senators if they're sick or experiencing some sort of a medical problem, and we give our recommendations to the Girls Nation leadership team to kind of determine next steps, especially if it's something that necessitates an intervention more than rest or treatment in a clinic. And we work really closely with leadership to obtain further evaluation if the senator needs that, maybe a visit to urgent care. And obviously we support and help the Girls Nation leadership reach out to parents or guardians if that is what is going to be the next step and appropriate. As members of the Girls Nation staff, we really rely on you to partner with us to encourage the senators to have a very healthy and successful week. You can remind them and encourage them to stay hydrated, to eat regularly and eat good food, not just kind of sugar and snacks and things like that. You can help them to get enough rest. I know it can be exciting staying up late and kind of chatting with new friends, but it's really important that they get some rest. And obviously encourage them to come to us right away if they're not feeling well, so that we can get them back on their feet and feeling good so they can really enjoy themselves. There are at least 2 rooms on the main floor of the Osgood building. They're called hydration rooms. I like to call them hydration stations. Just sounds better. Where they have water and different beverages, coffee, tea, some bottled juices, milk, and that's available to the senators during most of the day while they're in their sessions and meetings and things like that. So I would really encourage them to use those stations, fill up their water bottles anytime they pass by, fill up their water bottles and make sure they're really drinking and staying hydrated. Sometimes I challenge the senators to pick one meal during the day and only drink water with that meal. The other times they can have some of the fun stuff that's in the dining hall, and there's a lot of choices that are pretty fun and sugary. But at least maybe for one meal, they could stick to water just to get that hydration in. Senators are always allowed to carry their water bottles with them, even on off-campus trips. The only exception would be if we are able to go to the White House. And the other exception is when we visit Capitol Hill. Those are the only times they are not able to have their water bottles. Every other time is fine. So a good rule of thumb is have them bring it with them unless you hear specifically not to. That way they'll have hydration while we're out and about. It is really our responsibility as the nurses, the wellness team, and all general staff to set these senators up for success and to really work hard to provide them a safe and healthy and really happy week. Try to help the senators think ahead in terms of if we're going to be going on an off-campus trip and we're going to be getting on the bus and they know that they have motion sickness, maybe send them to us to get something to help with that. Maybe if senator has allergies and a lot of congestion and it's kind of keeping them up, send them to us, later in the afternoon. We can give them something they could take before they go to bed to kind of help with the congestion, things like that. Just try to help them think ahead, because I know their minds are so entrenched in what's happening during the week. They need that extra support to help them remember to care for themselves. Sometimes the senators feel more comfortable going to their junior counselors or maybe even their senior counselors. They have built more of a closer relationship with them, and so if they do. If they do go to their the junior counselor or the senior counselor, and you don't feel quite comfortable with whatever problem they're bringing to you, then just say, hey, let's go see the nurses, and walk them to our clinic, or give us a call and say, hey, can you come and meet me and the senator somewhere? We need this, that, the other. So make sure that if they come to you, that's fine. They may not feel comfortable coming directly to us, but please make sure that they do get to us or utilize us as you need, because we're here to help with that. Another note to remember: the senators are never excused from Senate sessions due to illness or being tired or things like that, unless they have seen us and we have given the okay on that. So if a senator is not in Senate and they say it was because they weren't feeling well, check with us. It's most likely we've seen them and we agree with that evaluation. And really, we will, if we see a senator and we don't think she will be able to attend a Senate session, we will reach out and let the appropriate leadership know, and so that you'll know ahead of time why that senator is not there. Just a few final reminders in closing. Always remember to communicate with us if you have any concerns about a senator. We really don't think that any issue or concern is too small or not important. We are very good listeners. We listen and we don't judge. That's that's kind of our nurse's motto. And we'd rather have you check in with us right away rather than respond to something too late and have it be something that has turned more serious. The other thing, as a staff member, we all need to be mindful of our own health limitations and our own well-being. Getting rest, keeping properly hydrated, and sort of increasing our own activity and our endurance before session can ensure that we're kind of all in the best shape we can be to handle the week. Please do not hesitate to let other members of the team or the nurses or the wellness counselor, any of us, please let us know if you are struggling or you need a break or just a rest. It's really important you let us help you. When the nurses have to shift our focus more towards a staff member that's having a problem, it sort of takes our focus away from the senators and kind of creates a situation where there's maybe one less adult available to help with the senators. And of course, they are our main priority throughout the week. So try to take very good care of yourself and let us help take care of you. Another thing to remember throughout the week is to really remain calm. It is remarkable how the senators can sort of pick up on the energy or even pick up on the feelings when they witness interactions between staff members. They really do kind of pick up on that energy and what we put out there. So it's really important to be calm, to actively listen to one another and to the senators, and to try to be as neutral as possible. We always try to look for the good in others throughout the week, and we assume good intentions. And I think if you do those two things, then any situation can be handled very calmly and very thoroughly. And we are just here to support you and ensure a safe, healthy, and successful week for everyone at our Girls Nation session.
All right, we are switching gears a little bit from talking about nursing to talking about wellness at Girls Nation. My name is Christy Krigbaum, and I am serving as the Girls Nation Wellness Counselor this year. I am a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Illinois. Depending on what state that you live in, that license might be called something different. But I'm a full-time mental health therapist. I spend my days supporting individuals of all ages for a variety of mental health concerns and issues. So what to expect from wellness at ALA Girls Nation is individual support, group support, any type of conflict resolution or mediation for not just the senators, but the staff as well. And what you can also expect from me is a confidential, judgment-free space for any issue, no matter how big or small, that you might need throughout the week. As far as where to find me, most often I will likely be with the senators. My goal is to spend as much time as I possibly can with the senators. So that's likely in party meetings and government sessions, as much as possible when we're at the Bulger Center. My home base is in the wellness team office. So if I'm not with the senators in a session, I'm likely there with the nurses. You can also reach out to me individually on Slack. And new this year is a wellness counselor request form. And this is also for staff or senators. This is not required to contact me, but it's just another option that you can reach out, or your senators can reach out confidentially to make me aware of an issue or something going on that might need my attention. So we're going to talk about a few mental health tips for you throughout the week that'll help support your senators. And the first one is to regulate yourself. It is very hard to support somebody that may be having some type of mental health crisis or mental health difficulty if we ourselves are feeling extremely anxious or upset or feeding off what their emotions are. So the best that we can do to regulate ourselves is going to help us better support our senators. And some ways to do that is to make an effort to really control your breath, slow your breathing. Slowing down your breathing helps slow down your body, helps you feel calmer overall. So focus on some slow, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth in those moments where you're starting to feel overwhelmed, either by a situation or by maybe an emotional senator. And be mindful of your volume and the tone of your voice. Sometimes unintentionally, we may be talking too quietly or too loudly, or our tone of voice may come across differently than what we're intending it to. And so just trying to be mindful of speaking at a reasonable volume and kind of in a calm, supportive tone can really help support our senators as well. Making an effort to also relax your face and your shoulders. When our senators are struggling, we want to try to be kind of their calm, safe space a little bit that they can come to us. And so part of that going into like the volume and tone of your voice also goes into kind of what our body language and what our face is looking like as well. So we want to be mindful of how we're holding our face, how we're holding our shoulders, that we're not giving off any unnecessary or unintended vibes to the senators. And remember, your calm helps them calm. And lastly, use your relationship. And what I mean by this specifically for the junior and senior counselors is you all most likely are going to have the closest relationship with your senators because you are going to be spending the most amount of time one-on-one with them or within your communities. And so when I say use your relationship throughout the week, you're going to get to know your senators a little bit. And so it might be that whenever there's some type of difficulty coming up, some type of struggle, some type of conflict, your relationship with them, the rapport that you've built with them, sometimes makes you best suited to help calm them down based on what you know about them. So once we are regulated, some more mental health tips is sometimes it's hard to know what to say when someone is coming to you with an issue or experiencing some mental health struggles or a mental health crisis. And this kind of acronym OARS, we're going to use our OARS, is just some helpful ideas of kind of things that you can say in the moment to be supportive and a calming presence, even if you can't necessarily fix the problem. So we're looking at the letter O in our OARS, and that stands for open-ended questions. And essentially, we're trying to get some information about what's going on through these questions. And so open-ended questions are different than closed-ended questions because they invite more of an answer than just a simple yes or no. So some examples of open-ended questions that are helpful to ask just to get a better understanding of what's going on is the question, what is going on? How can I help? What do you need? Those types of questions help us get a better understanding and a better direction of what we need to do next. The A in our OARS stands for affirmations. So these affirmations are kind of more positive, neutral positive statements that we're kind of just sharing with them to help validate what they're sharing with us. So these kind of look like statements like, you handled yourself well in that situation. Thank you for telling me. You're doing a great job. It makes sense that you feel that way. Those types of statements, just to let them know that we hear them and that they're valid in what they're saying. The R stands for reflective statements. And this is kind of like our reflective listening skill. So in affirmations, we're validating kind of what they're sharing with us. In the reflective statements, we're kind of checking to make sure that we understand. And this kind of almost looks like paraphrasing what the senators are sharing back to them. So an example would be maybe a senator, this actually did happen last year, a senator was upset that another senator that she lost an election to, she felt used AI to write her speech. Don't know if the senator actually did use AI or not, but she was upset anyways. And so a reflective statement that I used in that moment is, sounds like you're feeling upset that the election feels unfair. That's kind of a reflective statement that shows I hear what you're saying and I'm kind of checking to make sure I'm on the right track. So it could look like you're feeling worried about blank. That seems frustrating. It sounds like you are upset, anxious, worried about whatever. And the last, the S in the OARS stands for summarizations. So this is kind of putting it all together. We've gotten the information, we've validated how they feel, we've reflected to make sure that we are understanding right. And now we're going to summarize it. And sometimes this looks like, let me make sure I understand what I heard, and kind of just giving a brief summary. I'm hearing that you're upset that this person used AI and ended up winning the election. It sounds like that feels very unfair to you. Did I miss anything is a good question to kind of follow up, just to make sure there's nothing that we left out, nothing that we need to know. Kind of where does that leave you is a good question to ask, just kind of what do we need to do next? We've talked a little bit about now how to regulate yourself, some of the things to say. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about what is it that we can actually do? What can we suggest to the senators to help them calm down, to help them regulate, to help them be in a better space, to talk about this and work towards a solution that works for everybody? So in the moment, some things that you can recommend are taking some deep breaths. And when we take our deep breaths, or we're encouraging others to take our deep breaths, what we really want to focus on is just taking slow, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. We want to try to be like controlled and deliberate. And what this does is kind of two different things. One is when we slow our breathing down, it slows our bodies down, our nervous system starts to regulate. But the other thing is when we're focusing so hard on our breathing, taking those slow, deep breaths in through your nose, out your mouth, it's also a little bit of a distraction. So when we're kind of focused on the breathing, then the stressor isn't so fresh on our minds too. And that sometimes gives some space for some more productive conversation about what's going on. Something else that you can recommend is ask the senator to clench their fists, hold it as tight as they can for 10 seconds, and count with them if you need to, and then just to relax and release that tension in their fists and let their body relax, and just repeat that with them as many times as they need until they feel a little bit calmer. Sometimes a change of scenery could be helpful if it's something that happened in like a party meeting or a government session that's distressing for them. Maybe we need to take a step into the lobby. Maybe we need to take a step outside just to kind of away from maybe the trigger of what's going on, just to kind of give a little bit of space. And another good question that you can ask the senators in the moment when you're not really sure how to help them, you can ask them, when you felt like this before, like what helps? Or do you have anything that helps you? This may or may not be the first time any of them experience any type of mental health symptoms. And so some of them might already have some kind of built in go to coping skills that do work for them. When the emotions are really high, we want to try to talk less and listen more. Sometimes the fewer words, the better. When we're our most emotional, that's kind of when we're our least rational. So we're not necessarily kind of hearing other people out super well whenever we're really upset or really angry. And so just kind of giving space, trying to listen more and focusing on that calm down more than having a conversation. Anytime we can, just reducing any of that external noise, not having an audience for when these things are going on. That's when a change of scenery is good. Sometimes it helps to give choices. Would you like to sit in the lobby or would you like to sit outside? Do you want to walk and get some water? Would you like to go and get a snack? Just kind of giving a few basic choices like that can sometimes help the person feel a bit more in control of the situation and still have some autonomy over what they're going to do and what might be best for them. And the last thing when emotions are super high is to try not to rush, allow time. And that's also where I come in as a support. As I know at Girls Nation, everybody is very busy all of the time. Oftentimes we are on kind of a time crunch. And I know you, JCs and SCs especially, have just about every minute of every day scheduled to you. And you may not have time to spend a lot of time with a senator who's struggling. And so, yes, we want to give them time and get them integrated back into the program. But that's not solely your responsibility. So please make sure you tag me in when needed. These are some helpful one-liners just that you can kind of pull out of your back pocket in the event that a senator needs support and you're kind of stuck in a place of like, I'm not sure what to do. So you can say things like, let's take a breath and talk this through. Do you want a quick quiet moment or a water break? That's kind of that example of like giving some choices. It makes sense that you're feeling overwhelmed. This is a really big week. That's kind of an example of like an affirmation statement. This next one's a good one-liner if you're kind of wanting to transition them to my support so you can kind of return to your responsibilities. I want to make sure you have the best support possible. And Christy's really great at helping with this kind of stress. And some more helpful one-liners for you too. Sometimes the senators can maybe feel that their stress or their problem is not big enough to need me for. And so a good way to kind of say that is just reminding them, Christy's here for everyday stress too, not just big emergencies. You can kind of validate them, give them an affirmation. I'm glad you told me. If you're trying to encourage them to transfer support to me, you can say things like, sometimes having a neutral person helps sort through things easier, or you deserve someone whose role is supporting how you're feeling. Sometimes it can feel really different coming to a mental health professional versus seeing a nurse for a medical reason or talking to a different staff member about what's going on. Unfortunately, there still is a little bit of a stigma attached to mental health that I know some of these senators still feel. And so some reminders to you all is that you do not have to deal with these things alone. This is exclusively my job for the week to support the staff and to support the senators. No matter how big or small that thing might feel. So please feel free to loop me in at any time, whether it's through like Slack, or whether you have my phone number and you need to text me, whether you just come up to me whenever you see me in a government session or at a meal. just so that you can continue your schedule and responsibilities. I know you all are going to have more than enough on your plates during this week, and my job is to make that burden a little bit lighter and to help in any way I can. Something that is also helpful in encouraging senators to utilize my services is offer to walk with them, offer to show them to the wellness office, offer to have me come to where you are if they're hesitant. Just please keep that communication open. Encourage your senators when needed, and I'll come to you. You can offer to walk them to me. We want to make it as easy and accessible for them to have the support that they need throughout the week. And these are my last few final reminders when it comes to supporting our senators and yourselves in your mental health. Number one, don't take it personally. For those of you that have been there before, you know that this is an extremely high stress week. And if any of you are like me, or most people who are stressed, sometimes when we're at our highest stress levels, we don't always say and do things that we would normally say and do. Sometimes things come out a little differently than we would intend it to. So just don't take it personally. Just remember that we're all navigating this together. We're all working together to support our senators and to support each other to make it through this week. And that none of it's personal. We're all just doing the best we can. The next is to just remember you don't need to fix it. Most likely there will be things that come up that maybe there isn't a nice, clean solution to. We're not going to be able to tie it all up with a little bow, which kind of leads me into the next one, where just your presence is worth far more than perfection. So when it comes to supporting each other and comes to supporting our senators, it's really just about showing up and doing our best and being our best for ourselves and for each other. No one expects perfection or perfect solutions all of the time. And lastly, be sure to debrief when needed. While we all are here to support our senators and make sure that they have the best week possible, that doesn't come without stress on our part, especially JCs and SCs who are kind of in the day-to-day with them constantly and all the ups and downs. Just remember that I'm here for you all too, and you're more than welcome to come in, reach out to me to vent, to debrief, to run things by me, whatever it is you need. Just know that I'm here and that you have that support as well.
Thank you so much for taking the time to learn a little bit more about the role of the nurses on the wellness team at Girls Nation. We look forward to partnering with you to make sure that we have the best week possible and to keep our senators healthy and safe and happy throughout our week in DC. Thank you.